It's plainly obvious to me, and probably to every one of you watching, that what we choose to consume as humans has a great effect on our health and well-being. Now, what we choose to consume in terms of things like books, TV, podcasts, and YouTube, whilst they might have a great effect on us mentally, emotionally, spiritually, don't have any great immediate effect on our physical health and survival. So above that, in terms of choices that we make in what we consume, are things like food and water. You choose whole foods, you drink clean water, you're going to be pretty physically healthy. You make poor choices, within a matter of weeks, days, or even hours, you're going to know about it. Now, there are two things that we have even less control over and that we consume even more readily and matter even more. And that is light and air. Now, I've been diving deep into light for a while, and maybe in a future video we can talk about that. But for the purpose of this video, I wanted to talk to you about air quality. Okay, so besides the obvious things that are detrimental to air quality, things like smoke, paint and fumes, there are two things that are a lot less obvious that could be having a negative effect on your health. Now, the good news though is that once you understand them, it is possible to control them and change them for the better. There's particle matter, which are the tiny little particles suspended in the air, things like dust, soot, liquid droplets and pollen. And then there's the CO2 levels, which is basically the level of carbon dioxide in the air. This device detects both. And that's exactly where I want to start, with the CO2 levels and how they affect us. I first started this journey from watching a video on YouTube from Tom Scott featuring Curtis Bowdy, and this is what he said.
I want to step back 60 years ago to when carbon dioxide levels in our atmosphere were around 300 parts per million. Modern day, because of industrialization and burning fossil fuels, those levels are now around 400 parts per million in natural landscapes. And in urban environments, it's more like 500 parts per million. But the thing is, we spend most of our time indoors, and that's often in poorly ventilated spaces where the carbon dioxide levels can reach 1,000 parts per million. And what's important here is that researchers have gone out and tested the higher order decision-making abilities of office employees at different levels of carbon dioxide. And they found that at 1,000 parts per million, there is a 15% decrease in cognitive function.
So it's 11:30 at night, I'm about to go to bed. First time I've got my air quality monitor with me. Throughout most of the day, in the house it's been about 400 for CO2 parts per million. Since I've been in here for about an hour talking on the phone to Simone, door's shut, it's kind of a boxy room, and the CO2's gone up. It's now sitting at nearly 800, so it's nearly double the normal. That's making me want to open the window, but I'm going to sleep tonight with the window closed and see what levels it's at in the morning. Good morning. Let's turn this on. So obviously I've slept in here all night, windows closed, door closed. Breathing, you'd imagine the CO2 would go up. We'll see what it says. Holy shit. It's saying there's dangerous levels of CO2. I know that the air feels a bit thick in here. You know when you wake up in the morning and you've been in a box room and the air feels a bit thick? I did not expect it to say 3,500. I've only had that less than 24 hours, but I've been playing with it quite a bit yesterday. I've never seen it go up to red like that. Wow. Been in here literally about 10 minutes with the window open. CO2 levels return to what they were last night. You sense it when you sleep with the air closed and it gets stuffy in here. Everyone always says, oh, it's stuffy in here. Like, that's the real, what's happening is the CO2 levels go up. Hey, so night number 2 with this little device. There's 3 variations of this, okay? So last night I slept, closed the door. You saw the CO2 was like extremely high the next morning. So obviously the other option is sleep with the window open and see the difference. Now, as we saw in the morning, the CO2 was like 400 within 10 minutes. So I kind of know. But the other test would be simply to just have the bedroom door. I've got the bedroom door open. The bathroom's over there.
and I've left the bathroom window just slightly ajar. Thing is, if I open this, A, it's going to get cold, which I don't mind too much, but it's pretty cold at the moment. And B, the noise, I don't like the noise when I sleep, especially in the morning. I like it to be pretty quiet. So bedroom door open, and we're going to see what the emissions say in the morning. By the way, guys, elephant in the room, snake plant isn't really doing too much. Morning. Okay, slept all right last night. Just put the reader on, and we're sitting at about 600. So you can see just a little crack in the bathroom window and this door being open 5 times better. I don't know if you can rate it like that, but yeah, 5 times less carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. So that really is a small change for a big difference. Now, if I'm opening the window here, that is considerably different. And it was semi-cold last night. If I opened that window, it would be colder and noisier, and that would affect my sleep in other ways. So I think to get it down to 600 without too much shift on my sleep might be a happy solution. Also, just in terms of my sleep, I got 726 last night.
So as you can see from my little experiment there, just having a window open on the same floor, not even necessarily in the same room, as long as the doors are open and there can be some way for the air to flow, has a great effect on the air quality in the room. Now on to the second factor that I mentioned can affect air quality, and that's particle matter. So along with detecting CO2 levels, this device also detects particle matter. Now it detects it at 3 different sizes: PM1, PM2.5 and PM10. And that is in micrometers. So PM10 equals 10 micrometers. A micrometer is a millionth of a meter or a thousandth of a millimeter. So PM10 and PM2.5 normally equate to around the size of a particle of dust, about 1/7 the width of a piece of hair. Now this was important to me, not necessarily for my health, but for my girlfriend's health. Whenever she comes over here, she seems to get pretty bad allergies, and we think it's allergy to dust. So this is then able to help me read the PM particles in the air at those different sizes that might be affecting her, and then work out, using things like air purifiers, opening a window, closing a window, whatever it is, what I can do to help reduce the dust particles in the air. Now I'm aware that just for £70 for a monitor like this on Amazon, it's not going to be the most precisely accurate monitor in the world. And I have read a lot of different reviews on a lot of different monitors, so I ended up buying 3 different monitors and getting them out at the same time and comparing the readings, and actually they all did seem to corroborate and agree on many of the different readings with CO2 and particle matter. So I ended up returning the other 2 and just keeping this one because it seemed the sleekest device, wasn't the most expensive, and it had all those readings in one. Now I don't want this video to be a really long video and in loads of detail. This is one man doing one man's experiments from things, my deep dive research on the internet, what I think is valuable, what I want to share with you. And basically when it comes to dealing with dust, maybe it doesn't affect you on any great level where you get allergies, but there might be a subtle level where it might be affecting you, it might be affecting me. Just living in a dusty house could have these low level detrimental effects to our health. So what I did was I invested in a really high quality Hoover. I did a lot of research into good vacuum cleaners, and I got this one from Miele. So now I do regular deep hoovers with a quality hoover. Don't just buy a cheap one that might not be picking up all the dust particles. Now another thing I did was I bought an air purifier, and I leave it in my bedroom running on a low level just when I'm not in there, when my girlfriend's going to stay, just to help clear the air of dust particles in that way. I will say though that even though I did all those things, it didn't entirely fix my girlfriend's allergy to whatever's going on. So if you guys have any recommendations, we suspect it could be just something in the carpet. Some people have allergies to these new carpets. If you have any suggestions, please let me know in the comments below. So in summary then of my findings with air quality, with those main 2 things, was to work on minimizing the dust and the small particles in the air, and try to sleep at night without it being stuffy and some high carbon dioxide. And of course, in your day-to-day as well, if you're working in an office, try to make sure that there's not high levels of carbon dioxide there, because it's gonna affect your brain. You might feel foggy in the mind, you might feel slow, sluggish. These kind of things do affect us. If you can, leave a window ajar on the floor that you're sleeping on with the doors open, so that when you sleep the air can come in. If you can hoover and dust regularly, that could also help as well. If you want to buy an air purifier, if you live in an urban environment, maybe an air purifier is a more worthy investment. I don't think it's too valuable with me living in a smaller village out in the countryside. But for some people, if I did live in a city, I think that would be the way I would go. Now, generally I live fairly close to nature, and I've always opened my windows a little bit anyway, so it's not like it's been anything new to me, but sometimes it's just good to do the science and see the data and to actually connect with why we make these choices, just to keep you inspired, and then to share with other people that might be interested, that might be a little more resistive to some hippie ideologies or something. Not that it is that, but you know, they might be more resistive. Sometimes you just show people the devices, the data, and they can kind of get on board with it. And it's these little things. It's not one thing we do for health that makes all the difference. It's all the little things that we do that add up. Now, this is just one thing we do for our physical body. We've got we're emotional beings. We've got a soul. That stuff is more important than this stuff. And to be honest, when you work on the soul stuff, this stuff kind of take care of itself. As an example, if you are working on your soul, you're going to be more connected with nature naturally, God's environment He's made for us, and you'll naturally seek out these environments. You don't need devices to know that you feel happier or more at peace, your body's more relaxed and in a better state when you are close to nature. And all this stuff it does is point us back to our nature anyway. So it's just a physical thing we can do, and it's these little things that add up over time. Now, I'll leave links below for this air quality monitor and the air purifier that I got, along with Tom Scott's video, which I think is really cool as well. If you like this video and want more content like this from me and my channel, hit me a like or leave me a comment below. Otherwise, perhaps I'll see you in the next video. Godspeed.